I am not a feminist at all. I hate modern feminists, and they are the reason for everything that we're seeing in our society. It is the reason that we are spiraling is because of modern feminists. My opinion is yes, women are ruining the workplace.
Candace Owens is a Daily Wire host who's very open about her belief that women should get back in the kitchen and out of the workplace because it's a man's world, and you being there, well, you're just ruining it.
Goodbye, terrible women.
We're really breaking new ground on the channel this week, taking a break from men in these political circles / alpha male communities, and hearing what the women of these groups have to say, and shockingly, they don't have a whole lot of nice things to say about women either.
I don't think women should vote.
Lord Jesus, keep on going.
This is going to be the third Daily Wire host we've looked at on this channel. Just 2 more and I'll finally be able to craft the virginity gauntlet. So of course, I'm very excited to show you what this lady is about. Now, with each host, there's plenty to talk about, but today we're just going to focus on how much a woman can hate seeing other women succeed. Also, spoilers going into this, I'm not going to be talking about Candace's beef with Cardi B. There are plenty of T channels who've done a better job at covering that than I can. So let's dive into Candace's burning question. Are women ruining the workforce?
All right, so this isn't even meant to be a controversial topic. It's just one of those discussions that I've had with my husband that I am bringing to the forefront because I'd like to see your feedback. So how did the discussion come up? Well, we were talking about what schools to send our son to. When we had a discussion, I said, I don't want my child to go to an all-boys school. And I said my reasons were a little ridiculous. Maybe they weren't ridiculous, but I just said, I feel like that's all good and fine until they kind of get into middle school, and then it's sort of weird. I feel like once they go through puberty, they should be around the opposite sex, because what do they do if they're not around the opposite sex? Do they all just start liking each other? Maybe that's ignorant, maybe it's not. I'm just telling you what I said in the privacy of my own home, and now it's in the public domain. Who cares?
I always forget that conservatives don't believe people are born gay, because for the rest of society, it's like, yeah, people are born gay and the sky is blue. No shit. We're not even 2 minutes into the video, and Candace has already outed herself as being ignorant and homophobic, which, shocker for a Daily Wire host, I know. Yes, homophobic. Believing that your son is going to catch the gay by being around other gay kids is homophobic.
For a parent, to see this happen to a child, it is a fate worse than death. I would rather be dead than have that happen to my kids.
Then die.
In fact, the fear conservatives have for the LGBTQ is so strong now that Candace Owens is afraid of leaving her son with other boys for too long, because he might start to like boys as a result. Hi, in case you're new around here, parents of the Daily Wire are more afraid of their children being gay than a gun being in their classroom, just so we're clear on all of that.
Women in the workplace. What about that one? If you think about work in general, if you think about what men have to do when they go to work now, it's essentially just a bunch of landmines, right? Once upon a time, it was a man's world. Yes, I agree. And by the way, I want to make it clear, I am not making an argument that women should not have the right to work and should be relegated to the household. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but I am acknowledging that things have gotten worse at work since women joined the workforce.
Oh, wait, you serious?
Okay, Candace, but when you make a video called Are Women Ruining the Workforce? And explain how women are destroying the workplace by calling HR when men get too grabby or too friendly, and say things like, I think women would be much happier at home, it starts to sound an awful lot like you're making the argument women should stay at home. How do I put this in the simplest way possible for someone like Candace to understand? Okay, so how about I make a video called Are Christians Ruining Religion? I'll talk about how Christianity is filling religious discussions with landmines, and that Christians should stop being so open about their own beliefs, because it isn't enriching religion. Oh, and to start the video, I'll just say something like, I'm not saying that Christians shouldn't have the rights to worship God and be relegated to the confession booth. I'm just acknowledging that religion has gotten worse since they started preaching their own belief system. Now, would that exempt me from criticism? Would that make it okay for me to trash your ideals? And then why is it okay when you do it? We could turn this into a discussion about religion and sexuality, but don't worry, that's a huge can of worms that I'm just not gonna open right now.
I think that men are having to deal with all these landmines everywhere. Do I say something? Do I not say something? I have to be careful on how I speak to this person because she's a woman. She might see this as some sort of an assault. Oh, do I tell her she looks nice today, or is she going to think that that's inappropriate? Is it appropriate? Especially in the post-Me Too era, forget it. Do I say anything to her? Well, if I don't say anything to her, well, she's going to say that I'm ignoring her because...
If you're having to ask yourself, I wonder if this can be misconstrued as a form of harassment, then you definitely shouldn't say it. I know these people have the hardest time understanding what consent is, but I figured Candace Owens, a woman, would understand how it feels when a coworker, or anyone really, gets a bit too comfortable with you. I think I need to take a moment here to remind you all that Candace Owens is a conservative. She's religious as shit, and the common theme among people who are religious is this sense of forgiveness for predators. Well, what the fuck do I mean by that, right? Let's stop and watch this little clip real quick.
So when you open Instagram, it's just girls with their butts in your faces, their boobs in your faces, and it's these same women that will cry out and use the hashtag #MeToo and Time's Up. And it's like, you want men to treat you with more respect than you treat yourselves. People somehow separate themselves like their virtual character. It's almost like a game, like it's like an avatar avatar. They're like, oh, well, it's totally fine that I'm online and I have my boobs out and my breasts out, but I really can't stand to see that men are objectifying women in society. We've lost respect for ourselves, and yet we think that we can then demand respect in other fields and in other categories. And I don't think it really works.
You know what I was...
So as we can see in Candace's mind, if you get a little too happy with your body and decide to post something online, then you can't demand men treat you with respect. In other words, she feels that since you chose to dress like that, you chose the consequences that came with it. This shit is hard to say out loud, holy shit. Next we have Candace talking about a dry Christmas party that the Daily Wire had, and complains that her and her coworkers were unable to get drunk together because that's how Christmas parties are supposed to be in her mind. Now she's trying to guess why exactly that party would be dry.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Why are they saying let's not do that? I don't know for sure, but probably because they're avoiding traps, right? You supply alcohol, there's women and there's men, and things could happen, natural things in the wild. Men and women start flirting, girls get a little loose, and they start being a little appropriate, and then suddenly men look around and go, oh, it's an opportunity. I've always thought she was cute. I always thought she was kind of cute. Let me go talk to her. But then what if it goes wrong? And then the next day you just have an HR nightmare. So it's easier to say, you know what, guys, do what you do on your spare time, but at work, you have to keep it professional. You guys know what I'm talking about.
She's talking about sexual assault, by the way. She's talking about rape. She's talking about a woman getting drunk and someone else taking advantage of that. In her ramblings, at no point is she concerned with this hypothetical assault victim. She's not thinking of her, no. She's calling it an HR nightmare because in her mind, that's all that matters when someone is taken advantage of. It's not the person she's worried about, it's the company looking bad. So if your manager made you uncomfortable by rubbing your shoulders while you sat at your desk working, don't go to HR. You don't need HR. This guy who's intimidating you, just have confidence. It's that easy, apparently.
And I also have the confidence that's what makes me uncomfortable. I'm just going to tell you to your face. I don't need to run to HR. I'll give you a really stern warning and say, that was weird. Don't do it again, loser.
Candace Owens is protesting the lack of alcohol at this Daily Wire Christmas party because sure, one of her fellow podcasters may indulge a bit too much and end up forcing themselves onto another coworker. But that's all well and good because without the alcohol, this Christmas party is dry.
I should fire you and burn down your friggin' house. I am this close to raping you.
It seems that the Church of the Daily Wire doesn't understand that when someone is intoxicated to the point where they aren't fully aware of their surroundings and you choose to have sex with them, it still very much can be considered rape, yeah. Now, I'm not saying all cases of this are considered rape. Obviously, with every issue in life, there are gray areas, nuance to things. However, a threat like this can arrive when you have someone who's had too much to drink and someone who believes that a person who's blackout drunk can totally consent.
But these circumstances are only happening because we are bringing together men and women in the workplace. So my opinion is yes, women are ruining the workplace. There is less laughter, there is less joking. We are not enriching it by any means, because if we were enriching it and we were able to take a joke, which some women are, I've always been that woman, they would take a joke, I understand. The circumstances as they are that now we are forced to work together because it's, I guess the dream. Women want to slave at work and abandon the household. This is what happens due to fourth wave, third wave, and second wave feminism. And I think we're worse for it. I think women would be much happier. I am much happier at home. But instead, let's keep striving for awkward bathroom talk.
So in short, Candace is a lazy freeloader who would rather find a man to do everything for her rather than work to earn a living for herself because that's what would make her happy. Therefore, that's what would make all women happy. Look, if feminism is what earned the women in this country the right to step out of the kitchen and into the workforce so they can make a living for themselves, doing whatever they want to do, then I dare say feminism has done a lot more for women than any of Candace Owens' videos on why women would supposedly be happier prepping meals and changing diapers all day. Owens' argument here is that the movement that fought for her right to host a podcast and make a living off of said podcast, a really damn good living I might add, was wrong. Even ignoring how moronic it is to scoff at a movement that led to your current livelihood, you're ignoring the women who were saved by being allowed to leave their home and step into the real world. Yes, saved. If the livelihood of a woman depends completely on one man, as these traditional conservatives prefer, then a woman who's married to an abusive man is doomed to live the rest of her days in misery. Now, before you comment that women should just marry better men, if it's a woman's fault for marrying an abuser, then it's your fault for getting cheated on. It's your fault for dating a girl who loved someone else, and it's your fault that you're lonely. If that struck a nerve with any of you, then perhaps consider being more empathetic to those in similar or worse situations than yourself. So clearly, Candace isn't a huge fan of women having to work an actual job to make a living in this country. Unfortunately, that's just how capitalism works. Even if feminism wasn't what it is today, some corporation probably would have just sucked you up and found a way to exploit you anyways. Now, we could make this argument that it wasn't feminism that got women into the workforce, but it was capitalism, but why bother? Also, full stop, by the way, I'm not saying that's what's happening, I'm not saying that's what's going on, I'm just saying that's an argument that could be made. Now, how about instead, we go ahead and listen to Candace explain why giving women the right to go to college and become a doctor is ruining the next generation of women.
Oh, okay.
What is the whole feminism like movement?
It's so fake. Come on. Feminism it's the biggest joke in the entire world. First off, nothing that feminism aspires to today, modern feminism, makes women happy. I don't even understand it anymore. Like,
me when I fucking lie. Feminism covers a lot of things. I know that Fox News and the Daily Wire have probably led you to believe that feminism is just getting mad at men for spreading their legs too wide on the bus. But the actual point is to earn women basic freedoms such as the right to vote, the right to work and earn money as a man does, and has a great focus on reproductive rights for women, like access to birth control and abortion. Sure, you can say those things don't make you happy, but to say that it doesn't make any woman happy is just untrue. Believe it or not, Candace, some girls actually enjoy earning their living the hard way, as you say. Some women actually enjoy not having a child, but when these women talk about how happy they are, you and your co-host choose to bully her for months on end. Look at all these videos of the Daily Wire crew dissecting Chelsea Handler's decision to not have children and live completely independently. Oh, better yet, look at how Matt Walsh mocks this girl for having an abortion multiple times.
It's that she's chosen not to allow any of her children to live. I mean, not exactly. I mean, you did kill your 3 children in order to achieve your childless status, and I don't think that you should have had the freedom to do that. She is childless today thanks to the 3 abortions that she often brags about. Also, if your decision to not have any living children...
Yeah, the crowd that claims to care about kids is also totally fine with mocking somebody for having an abortion. Despite not knowing why she had that abortion, despite not knowing the details of it, they're just like, oh yeah, you're a murderer. So clearly, it's not feminism that's making women unhappy. It's these fucking morons telling them how to live their lives, then degrading them when they refuse to do so. Oh, do you want another example of this happening? Okay, here's Candace Owens talking about plus-sized women.
I don't want Lizzo to die, so I tell her that she's clinically obese on the show. I don't know her personally. You're clinically obese and you should lose weight. That is the right thing to do. It is a good thing to feel shame. So I'm big on fat shaming, as they call it. I like shame. It transforms humans.
if you don't like my body for being 3,000 pounds, it's because of the patriarchy. No, it's because nobody likes that. That's disgusting, it's unhealthy, and nobody should want to date that. Like, women, I don't want to look at it, men don't want to look at it, and I'm straight. Like,
see, what's funny about this clip is that in the same fucking video I pulled this from, she and these 3 other bozos just spend the entirety of the last half of the video talking about how crazy it is that a young Kylie Jenner was getting Botox and putting on all this makeup.
the idea that her mother let her do that to her face and her body when she was 17 years old, it should have been a crime.
Yeah,
Like,
she looks a lot better now, though.
They defend it like, oh yeah, she has to look pretty because Kim is around her and she has to be prepared for all these crazy comparisons. But guess who's gonna be the one comparing them in the first place, Candy? Here's a hint. It's the person telling women they should get back in the kitchen.
Men and women are not the same. We are biologically different. We have biological predispositions. The idea that women should want to climb the top of a ladder and, go into corporate America and be there forever. Women want to have kids, right?
In 2012, Candace Owens was an administrative assistant for a private equity firm in Manhattan. She later moved up the ladder, becoming its vice president of administration. In 2018, she went from posting conservative-themed YouTube videos to hosting her very own show on the Daily Wire. This is all being said to let you know that Candace climbed her way up the ladder and is now metaphorically choosing to kick down the ladder now that she's successfully reached the top. It's very easy to criticize feminism once it's done all its magic for you and landed you that job. No, Candace Owens had to earn that job herself. True. However, remove feminism from the modern society and suddenly a woman being allowed to host her own show is a work of fiction. Now let's replay that clip because I have something else I want to talk about.
Men and women are not the same. We are biologically different. We have biological predispositions. The idea that women should want to climb the top of a ladder and, go into corporate America and be there forever. Women want to have kids, right?
Okay, counter argument. What about women who can't have kids?
Well, if she can't have kids, she's not a biological female, so this argument is dumb.
No, Cletus, I mean biological women who have medical issues preventing or making it near impossible for them to give birth. Women who have a harder time getting pregnant than others. Women who just missed the cutoff date. What are they supposed to do? Conservatives have this idea for how life should play out in their heads, but always fail to realize that not everyone can live the life that conservatives imagine. Unfortunately, not every woman can just throw up her arms and say, oh, okay, husband, just go to work and make enough money to provide for me and our 3 kids and this house we live in, and I'll just stay here and make lasagna all day. Not everyone has a net worth of $5 million, Candace, and not everyone wants to waste their youth cooking and cleaning for someone who's totally capable of doing it themselves. How about you stop claiming that women don't want to work for their livelihood and admit that you're okay with just being a nanny your whole life?
I think that's like a troll, though. No, it's like all you're good for is like, yo, make me something to eat.
No, that whole concept came from rabid feminists. Like, there was something wrong with being in the kitchen, right?
Oh, okay.
And this was sort of this push of women get out of the home and go to work, which has made so many women miserable. So many women miserable.
Who are these women, Candace? Can you name any of them? Obviously, she can list off people in her comments, or people that she's spoken to on her book tour, or whatever the fuck she does. But how do these few women equate to so many women in her mind? Oh, hello, comrades. Communist Buggy here to remind you that not everyone likes working 9 to 5, 5 days a week their entire life. Shockingly, a lot of people fucking hate the idea of working their entire lives away to make somebody else richer while they scrape by on pennies compared to what their bosses make. But uh-oh, under capitalism, that's just how shit fucking works. We put our adult pants on, we call a family member to watch our kid, and do a double shift just to make ends meet. It's hilarious how often these people mock liberals and people of the LGBTQ for being snowflakes, but surprise, Candace Owens has to show up and do a podcast for an estimated $5 million a year and is miserable. Of course she's miserable, because she's a woman and she's not at home, not cooking for her husband and not mothering more children, because as she said multiple times, if you're a woman not doing these things, you're not really happy. Now, last thing before we end the video. Protesting for women to have the right to earn their own living and provide for themselves wasn't radical feminism. Telling women that they have the right to get out of the house and go work isn't radical feminism either. Saying nobody should want to date overweight women, calling rape an HR nightmare instead of what it actually is, those are things that make women miserable, not feminism. Now, I'll see you in the outro. Alright, and that, my friends, was a look into the ramblings of Daily Wire's only female non-white host. Like I said earlier in the video, each of these podcasters are a lightning rod for bigotry, but today I just wanted to focus on the misogyny that tends to fall out of Candace Owens' mouth. And trust me, there's a lot we didn't get to today. So next week, I was gonna look at Chelsea Handler and all the shit she got from each host of the Daily Wire, excluding the two that nobody really gives a shit about. But about a month ago, Ben Shapiro talked about an episode of The Last of Us that I just need to talk about it with you guys, right? And it's that episode. It's episode 3. You remember it. You could probably guess how he feels about that episode. So that's what we will be talking about in the next couple of days, hopefully. Oh, and before you go, I just want to announce the opening of my Patreon. Hold on. I know you're about to click off the video, so I'm going to make this as fast as possible, okay? So I'm going to be offering a $3 tier, and if things go well, eventually a $5 tier. Both of these will get your names plastered on the outros of each video I do. $5 is just going to be for anybody who's feeling extra generous, and if you do sub to this $5 tier list, I'll draw you a profile icon. I think I failed to mention that I do draw. I draw a lot. So there would be that. Now, seriously, you don't have to pledge anything, obviously. You being here and watching till the very end is more than enough, but if you'd like to go above and beyond and help your boy out, that'd be really nice. Regardless of if you pledge or not, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.